EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to a Monday edition of Birds 365, coming off Week 13 in the NFL, and the Philadelphia Eagles get their 8th straight win to move to 10-2 on the year. This one coming against arguably the best opponent of the season, the Baltimore Ravens, who fall to 8-5. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Monday morning, my friend?
Doing well. A little tired, but I'm here. That's all you can ask for.
Good travel back last night from Baltimore?
It was better than the travel down. So at least leaving late gave us a little bit of a break from I-95. I don't know what's going on there in that Delaware choke point.
Yeah.
But it's got to be fixed. Donald Trump. That's message number one.
A day one activity for the new administration.
Day one. Fix it. Fix it.
Now that is worthy of a lot if somebody can fix I-95. I doubt it, but we can put it out there. Johnny Mac, that's a big win yesterday, man. And another signature win for this football team. They moved to 10-2. It's their 8th straight win. And John, they just keep bullying. They just keep out physicaling even the most physical teams. What was your first couple takeaways? Now that we're a day or a night removed from the win yesterday, what were your first thoughts and takeaways on the Eagles' win over the Ravens yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was an impressive win, especially we talked about, what happens when they go down by 2 scores, and it was 9-0. So it was a little bit, it wasn't, they didn't play well early. That's been the theme of the season. But they typically stayed in games, either 1-score games or even being ahead despite slow starts. So it was interesting that they were down to a good team. And they didn't panic. I thought that was number one. And I think that's very positive because they were moving the football early, the Baltimore Ravens. So that was an impressive adjustment. And that's sort of what Vic Fangio is known for as a defensive coach. And then offensively, yeah, I mean, the formula, so to speak, I hate that word, but it's working. They win every game the same way. Slow start. Then they start to wear the opponent down. I don't know. I said, I don't think Baltimore got out physical. I don't think the Eagles out physical, Baltimore out physical the Eagles. I think it's just two physical teams battling. And I think they both played physically. I didn't take that from it. But I do take the Eagles' ability to wear people down from the perspective of what they do. And I know the stat sheet says they didn't throw the ball well. They only had 118 yards passing. And it's I keep saying it's got to be better than that, but does it have to be better than that? I don't know. But I can argue, on the, the game-winning drive, one of the big things about that particular aspect of it was the Dallas Goedert first down on 3rd down. I think that was the biggest play of the game. I really do. It was 3rd and 7 from the Eagles 41, and it was a beautifully thrown ball to Dallas Goedert in stride. He got 9 yards, and then from that point forward, you could see the air come out of the Ravens a little bit. And then Barkley went off left tackle for 14 yards. Jalen Hurts had a keeper for 11 yards, and Barkley went in from 25. And I think that's what wears on opposing defenses, the ability to do what you need to do at a particular time. And you're sitting there as a defense going, all right, we got him. We can get off the field, yada, yada, yada. They're not throwing the ball well, and bang. Perfectly executed play. I can't explain why that's not there more consistently in the passing game, but I don't know what it is. But this team makes big plays in big situations when they have them in the passing game. And I think that deflates it from the opposing perspective. And then all of a sudden all right, here comes the running game downhill at you and pretty much close the game. Obviously, the Ravens had a late touchdown, but that was meaningless. And yeah, impressive win on the road against a very good team and very good team at home. And an offense that has been playing at an historic level, and the Eagles shut them down. I mean, the yardage, yeah, there's a decent amount of yardage, but if you look at what they've been doing to everybody else, the Eagles defense shut them down.
Isn't that the philosophy of the system, though, when you play great offense? I mean, we're good with if they get yards between the 20s, but once they get down in the red zone, we need to stop them and get
Yeah, I
stops. They
mean,
only gave
yeah.
up 12. I know they gave up 19, but that garbage time touchdown, they were playing, prevent defense, and Lamar runs for 45 yards. I'm not going to kill the defense for that, but I think the defense played amazing, man. I mean, you hold
Well,
this
so
team
do
to
I.
12
So
points,
do
yeah.
I. I mean, yeah, you know me. I'm not a stat guy to begin with, but I don't even care about the points and that because that's what the NFL is. There's a lot of garbage, and everybody forgets about it and moves on to the next week, and they accumulate the statistics and say this is impressive or that's impressive. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. It could be garbage time. In this particular case, 19's good because Tucker left 7 points on the field that he typically, but Justin Tucker from a year ago, never mind 5 years ago, those are made kicks. So, whatever's going on with him, but so, but giving up 19 points to this team is really good, really good. So, yeah, I think that defense has been the story. I know it's not. The story of the year is Saquon Barkley, and rightfully so. He's having a historic season, but you should give at least a 1A to that defense because I can't find one person to predicted this was going to be maybe the best defense in the NFL. Never mind maybe the best defense, even a top 10 defense. Everybody was talking, including myself, about, well, if you can just get them to middle of the road, and a lot of that is Jalen Carter. I said on the post game show last night. I mean, we've been banging back and forth about, well, who's the best player on the Eagles? Is Saquon Barkley? Is it AJ Brown? Is it AJ Brown? Is it Saquon Barkley? Time to put Jalen Carter in that conversation.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
That dude is wrecking games, and he's playing. He almost played the whole game again. I think he missed one snap. I mean, he's getting it, and Vic has been that way. If you could play, he's not taking you off the field. And I do think there's guys like Max Krause, I bring up all the time, who play every snap on the defensive line. Like, defensive lines become a rotational position because that's how most teams do it. But there are certain teams with certain players, they don't take them off the field unless they have to.
71 out of 72 snaps for Jalen Carter.
Yeah, and he's wrecking games.
How about Zach Ball, John? He continues to play.
Yeah, he's having
unbelievable. I mean, another primetime game in a primetime spot versus the Ravens. And he shows up again. I tell you what, dude, the guy's price tag is going up $1 million to $1.5 million a week right now with what he's doing. What'd you make of his performance yesterday versus the Ravens?
Yeah, I mean, he's been one of those stories as well. Who was, I don't think anybody could have projected that. It's funny that, the Eagles last time were in Baltimore in the preseason, which, it's preseason, but I remember Zach did not look good. And it was started that conversation. How bad are the Eagles going to be at linebacker this year? That's where we were in August. And linebackers been one of the true strengths of the team. And yeah, Zach Bond, he's an all-pro. He's an all-pro. With, there's 5 games to go, but right now he's an all-pro. And an all-pro doesn't mean Pro Bowl. It means 2 guys, basically. Well, they'll make it 3, because nobody moves forward, but nobody plays 3 linebackers now. He's an all-pro. Who saw that coming?
It's amazing what he's doing. I think they're gonna get him signed. I know his price tag's getting high, but I don't think Howie can let this guy walk out the door. I really don't. I don't know how you do it. How do
Yeah,
you let him walk?
first of all, I wouldn't worry about contracts right now. I mean, this team is focused on winning the Super Bowl, and that stuff will take care of itself. Certain guys have bet on themselves. Zach Bond, most notably, and he's not even betting on himself. He didn't have another option, but right now he's betting on himself. He probably isn't going to take a cost-effective deal. Milton Williams has bet on himself. He's had a very good season. Josh Sweat, you got to worry about. Josh Sweat's having a great season and has become even more important. But this is every NFL team. I would encourage people to not focus. We got plenty of time to focus on the contracts. I don't think it's going to be doable until you get, closer to the offseason with Zach Bond. But Howie surprised me in the past. I mean, and I'm sure Zach is appreciative. I know it. I talked to him about it. He's appreciative of the opportunity he has gotten from the Eagles, but he's got one shot to make just dramatic, life-changing money, and he probably wants to take advantage of it. And I don't think anybody should criticize him for that at all. It's a business, and right now he's got the leverage, and my guess is he's getting the advice to use it.
Pretty amazing what's going on. John, what'd you make of, obviously, one of the big plays of the game that everybody's talking about is Cooper DeJean lifting up Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Like, it was almost like he welcomed Derrick Henry to the league in that moment, not the other way around, which is what Derrick Henry's done to many other people. He continues to impress as well. Boy, did Howie hit a home run with these top 2 draft picks this year. And maybe, John, maybe the top 3 draft picks. Jalen Hunt played a big role yesterday, and I thought he was not bad at all. He looked pretty good. He set the edge, played a lot of snaps, and he was not a liability out there at all.
Yeah, the only thing you're right. He was not. He, that's one of the things you hope, throw him into that's what Vic, I believe, said. We'll see, because he's going to play. Nolan Smith got a real uptick in snaps. He said that necessarily wouldn't be the case. Basically, Chuck Harris didn't even play, and O'Shawn Mathis, who they elevated from the practice squad, was just special teams. So, it was Nolan Smith playing a ton of snaps, and
just
he
a
played
3-man
well.
rotation, right, on the edges.
Yeah,
Sweat, Smith, and Jalix.
And I'll have to watch the game again. Obviously, I haven't rewatched it yet, but they, maybe, I don't know. Maybe they threw Milton out there on occasion, but certainly not noticeable during the game. Nolan played a ton, and Josh, and obviously Jalix Hunt. So the only problem there is, is that sustainable? They're not Max Crosby, so I don't know if all 3 can be Max Crosby and just play constantly at that level. But they're going to have to get a 4th guy where maybe it's Chuck Harris. Maybe, he just got here. Maybe it's one of the young guys, at least to get, 10 somewhat down. But, look at the snaps Saquon played. The Eagles are staying true to their mantra of basically, we'll manage them during the week. They're staying true to that mantra. And they had 56 offensive snaps, and Saquon was out there for 49 of them in week 13. That's a lot. And
just 8 yards short, by the way, John, of a jersey this week. 8 yards short for Saquon.
Yeah, that's the same thing, man. They did a pretty good job on him, a pretty good job. pretty good job right up until they didn't. And that's been the, you got to be, it wears on you. I talk about it with Jalen Hurts, same type of thing. It wears on you. You can be so disciplined and play a solid game. And they were doing that. I think he had 44 yards going into the fourth quarter. And all of a sudden he's 7-8 yards away from our 125.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
got within 5, and then his last run of the game, he went backwards for 3 yards. So I'm like, oh, fell out of it. He fell out of range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Risk it. The worst is if we went over 125, at least he didn't get over. And then, people get excited, and then you get the 3-yard loss or 4-yard, whatever it was. So at least he didn't get there. But, that's a bad game for Saquon Barkley. And he got serenaded with MVP chants. Think about that. In the home of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, he's the one who's serenaded. Now, a lot of Eagles fans are obviously Ravens fans are disappointed at that point, but still it was pretty cool to see. And he doesn't care about the MVP, but I know the fans do. And he's in it.
A new conspiracy, John, is flying around. Zander offered the Ravens players some cash to stop him from getting 125.
Oh.
And not confirmed suplex. John, one other thing I wanted to talk about from this game. And this is maybe my only real concern left on this team going late into the year now.
Let's move the goalpost. Let's move the goalpost for all.
What's going on though, John, with the start of these games? Because I can't figure it out for the life of me.
They're very consistent.
Yeah, they're very consistently sucking ass. And in the first quarter of the game, I don't understand. If you just took off the first quarter of games, we'd be like the best team, since
in history.
The greatest show. I don't know what happens in the first quarter. It's the scripted plays. They come out and they don't work. And maybe it's not the scripted plays. Whatever reason.
I don't think it's the plays. I think it's the execution.
Yeah, but why is it so much worse in the first quarter than every other quarter of every
I don't know. I asked Jalen. I mean, when they got it going, it seems like almost always when they finally get it going, part of it was they got a big punt from Braden Mann that Sidney Brown was able to down at the 1-yard line, I believe. So part of it was that. And then they got a 3-and-out. Which they shouldn't have, but Lamar missed a wide open Zay Flowers that would have been a first down. But he missed it, and then they got to short field. And then they started with tempo. And they go right down the field. I mean, the first play they lost a yard was a Barkley run. And then they started, the only sort of uptick in the passing game was on that drive. They even got Jahan Dotson involved. He was the first, 2nd and 11 for a 7-yard gain. Then it was 3rd and 4. And then it was a keeper. No, that was Saquon up the middle. So that was a big play, 3rd and 4, converting that on the ground. And then it was the keeper to Jalen Hurts. And all this, they're doing tempo. Then there was a short pass to A.J. Brown, and then the touchdown to Dallas Goedert. That quick. And I don't know. This team looks better when they use tempo. Now, you can't always use tempo. You can't be Chip Kelly. But I think it helps this team get sort of a feel for it. But, yeah, they're just bad at the start of games. They've been bad all year. It hasn't affected them that much, obviously. Then they get their bearings for whatever reason. Hey, they came out in the third quarter. It was the same thing. They were awful in the third quarter offensively.
Well, they didn't play. John, they weren't on the field in the third quarter.
Well, that's true. Baltimore was moving. Baltimore dominated the third quarter, and they had the two. And was it?
And they got no points.
Yeah, they got no points, and that really killed them.
Yeah.
But the Eagles only had 2 possessions. You say Baltimore Baltimore was moving the football well in the third quarter, and then they would just do something stupid to derail their drive. And whether it was Lamar Jackson taking 14-yard sacks and just, he's just going backwards. And that turns a 33-yard kick for a struggling kicker into a 47-yard kick. Now, he probably makes the 33-yarder. He ain't making the 47-yarder.
That was a bad sack by Lamar.
Yeah,
Boy,
that
for
was
as good as he is and for the plays he gives you, he does give you some of the other way too. I mean, he missed a couple guys that were just so wide open. I mean, if Jalen Hurts did that, people in Philly would have been having his head on a platter. I mean, he missed a couple throws that were brutal in that game.
At least 3 I can think of.
Yeah, I can think of 3.
And that was one of them, the Zay Flowers throw near, backed up, which would have been a big play for them. Who knows? Maybe they don't go anywhere. They're probably not going to go the length of the field, but at least you don't flip the field with the field position and you can get it out a little bit. But anyway, so he takes that sack and Tucker misses the field goal, the 47-yarder. And then they get the football for the first time with some momentum, which Jalen Hurts again said doesn't exist. I agree with him. But anyway, that's another conversation. And nothing, 3 and out. Jalen Hurts running around. Technically, it's a sack, but for no yards. Barkley loses a yard on a run. And then incomplete pass to Barkley. And Braden Mann's out there punting it again. 3 and out. And then the Ravens get the ball back and they move it again. And they move it again. And they're moving the football. And, all of a sudden, same thing. They bog down. Nelson Aguilar has a chance to make a couple plays, by the way. Nelson doing his old team a solid. Those were tough catches, but he had a shot at both of them. And the other one, he wouldn't have had his foot in anyway. But anyway, Nelson was Nelsoning. And Tucker's going on from 53 and no shot. The guy's confident. Unbelievable how far he has fallen. And he misses a 53-yarder. And then the Eagles get it back for 3 plays. Jalen Hurts starts out right end, negative yard, short left, short pass to Barkley for 5, and then incomplete to Barkley, and you're punting again. That was the third quarter. 6 offensive plays for the Philadelphia Eagles. That's it. And Baltimore had the ball for the whole quarter and didn't get any points. And then field goals.
What the hell has happened to Justin Tucker? It's amazing. He goes from a literal Hall of Fame kicker.
Oh, yeah.
To, I mean, are they going to move on from him?
It.
You can't go late into the year with this. He's missing regular kicks, John. He's got 11 misses this year.
Well, 53 is tough, but, typically, and 47. Look, it's not. It's a bad weather game. Michael Clay talked about this early. When everybody was kicking these 50-yarders early, he said it's going to change when the weather turns. So these kicks become tougher in that kind of weather. But
yeah, but we've seen Justin Tucker.
No, that's what I mean. We've seen this. We've seen this particular kicker make those kicks like it was nothing. So he's a little bit different than the average kicker, But everybody loses it at some point. Maybe he's just lost it, whatever. But the entire third quarter was all Ravens, and they didn't score a point. But to your point about the Eagles coming out of the locker room, they're brutal in the first quarter. They're brutal in the third quarter.
They're not normally brutal in the third quarter, right? That was a yesterday thing.
That was yesterday. Not normal. Not at that level. They just couldn't get anything going. And when you don't convert on third down and you're right off the field, yeah, it's difficult. But they persevere. You got to give them credit for that. It's got to be a little bit of a concern, the slow starts, but I mean, they keep winning games.
I mean, you saw another instance yesterday in that game where Baltimore had a chance to take a commanding lead early because the offense had nothing going and the defense didn't quite settle in yet. It normally takes them a couple series to settle in. I thought the Ravens had a chance to go up multiple scores.
Oh, they did. They did. And they did.
4 straight punts. They even started the game with 4 punts. Braden Mann. Thank Braden Mann for the offense getting going. he got him the ball in plus territory when he punted it down to the 1.
Yeah, and he had a great game, Braden, man.
Yeah, he did.
Great game. I think he had 5 punts.
He's been good. He's been a good pickup from Howie
Yeah.
to replace Aaron Sipas.
Very good compared to Aaron.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for Aaron, but yeah, I think there were 5 punts maybe inside the 20. By the way, the Ravens kicker was brutal. Not there. Well, the kicker was brutal, but their punt returner was awful. No, not the punt. The punt return.
Got you. The return guy.
And Britton Covey, and it's interesting because I was talking to Britton after the game. He was talking about hidden yardage, and Nick brought it up out of nowhere. Well, Nick spoke forever. It's like War and Peace if you read his transcript because he's so happy about the win. But
it's a big win for him, man. It's a signature win. It's a good win to go in.
The team. Lane Johnson's never beaten this team. He's talking about 12 years. Man. They've never won in Baltimore. Now they've never won in Cincinnati. They stopped that. They've never won in Baltimore. It's historic. And I see Jeff Kerr, so we're going to get Jeff Kerr in here.
Yeah, let's get to the break. So I can get to Jeff. All right, good stuff. Good opening segment here. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Got a good crowd in here on Birds 365 this morning. Appreciate all of you guys. Jay Big, good morning, brother. Kyle Wright, Kyler Sanders, Dank Bird Gang. A is in here. What's up, A? Shooter McGavin, one of our great Eagles haters in the chat. Slagger 57, flexing and stepping. Good to see everybody in here this morning. I'll get to a couple super chats real quick. What would be the J-Mac response and be in August? If somebody super chatted, we'd have top linebacker play with Bond and Dean and the number 1 defense. I think you would have got to stop it. F-body guy.
You would have gotten to stop it, but it would have never happened. You know why it would have never happened? Because they were all yelling at me for saying that Kobe Dean was going to start over Devin White. So it would have never happened.
True. If it came in August, it would have been Bond and White. It wouldn't have been Dean.
Yeah.
That's true.
I still haven't gotten any apologies for that.
Oh, you've gotten plenty. Alexander,
I'm not talking from you. I'm talking about.
I see the people in the chat who gave you your kudos. They like to rag on you and all the other shit. Alexander Harris says defense wins championships, but for real, I think this team can hang with anyone just because the defense is so good.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason they can't hang with anyone. I mean,
yeah, they just shut down the greatest player on earth.
I mean, Buffalo's impressive, but I don't look at that team as fear other than Josh Allen, but you just kind of dealt with a Josh Allen type player. Detroit, a little bit, but they've gotten so many injuries recently. I'm starting to waver on them a little bit. I mean, how many defensive injuries can you survive? From their standpoint. So they've looked mortal. I don't see any team. You know, Thursday night's Detroit Green Bay. I'm very interested to see that game because I think Green Bay's going up, and I think Detroit, not that they're going down because they're 11-1, but
no, I know what you mean. They're certainly got some injuries and stuff going on there.
Yeah. So that game's going to be interesting. I look at Detroit and Green Bay and a little bit of Minnesota as the only teams to be concerned about.
I can't bring myself to do it. I watched their game yesterday. I mean, it was they escaped with a good win. I mean, over the Cardinals, but I saw the end of that game, and obviously I was in Baltimore, but we were watching that, and the Ravens. Kudos to the Ravens because they showed the games pretty late on the big scoreboard. And that was the interesting game because Arizona was playing really well. Plus, I like JG. So I was paying attention to that game. Yeah.
But I'm starting to believe in Sam Darnold's a good freaking player.
He is. He's solid. I mean, I don't know why I can't buy him.
And that dumb team, by the way, is going to move on from him. You know,
well, they drafted. Yeah.
I don't give a shit. He can play. That guy can play.
He's gonna get paid this year, man. Somebody's gonna pay him. Yeah, he's gonna get
somebody's
paid.
Gonna luck into something.
Yeah,
so I'm taking my victory lap on Sam Darnold.
Good stuff. One more super chat, and then we'll bring up Jeff Kerr. Some of the nastiest zebra display I've seen in a while since the Super Bowl. How many flags were picked up and how many were not blatantly called? That's a big topic yesterday, John.
Oh, they were always up. Give it up. Stop with the officials. We
Pumper,
just had this discussion.
Pumper, I knew you were going to get Johnny Mac pissed at that one. Let's go to Jeff Kerr. Real quick, let's go to Jeff Kerr. But before I do that, I want to tell you guys about the great people at BetUS. Check out the promo code I just put on your screen. It's YouTube 150. Gives you a 150% sign-up bonus on your very first deposit. You get 125% on your second and third deposits, all up to $2,000. So deposit less and bet with more at BetUS. Go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa, and they're the fastest payouts in the industry. So use that promo code and go get your betting started at BetUS. Now, let's be joined now by Jeff Kerr from CBS Sports, joining us here on Birds 365. Jeff, good Monday to you, sir. How you doing? Birds win their 8th straight yesterday and get to 10-2, Jeff.
Yeah, bullied the bully.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. I was talking about that. I don't think anybody out physicaled anybody. I think it was two physical teams playing physically, and I think the Eagles wore them down with their ability to do different things on offense. And we talked about, to me, the key play in the game, and I mean that, is the Dallas Goedert third down right before the two Saquon runs that sort of sealed the game in between, they sandwiched the Jalen Hurts run. That 3rd and 7, the Ravens are about to get off the field. They're pumped up, got a chance. And then Eagles aren't throwing the ball since A.J. Brown in the second quarter. Perfect throw to Dallas Goedert, first down. You could hear the wind almost come out of him.
Jalen Hurts threw 5 passes in the second half, but when they needed him to make a throw, he made it.
Yeah. And then it was Saquon for 14, Jalen for 11, and Saquon for 25. Bang, bang. The wind came out of their sails, Jeff Kerr, on that 3rd and 7. And the Eagles do that week in and week out.
They just seem to make a play when they need to make a play. I thought the A.J. Brown quotes on Saquon was great yesterday. It's like, okay, put your cape on. We need you to put your cape on. And, Saquon Barkley has more rushing yards in the fourth quarter than 27 NFL teams.
Oh, my gosh.
By the way, the Eagles are one of them. So let's not count. So technically, I guess you could say of the 31 teams, Saquon is more than 27.
Yeah, because if the Eagles are one of the 14, I mean, he's the reason that the Eagles are one of the 14.
Yeah, it's the Ravens, the Texans, the Steelers, the Eagles. I forget the other team in there. But
the resurgence of the running back in the NFL, guys, is that a real thing? You guys think this position could pick back up value in the NFL?
I don't know about value.
They keep
go ahead.
2 high safeties. That it will.
I think Vic talked about that last week. He said it's never gone anywhere, and he was talking about the running backs' impact. Just people are using it a little bit more. They finally got back to it because, some of the too high stuff that Jeff talks about, everybody's trying to limit the big play. Everybody's got small athletic people on the field defensively. So, somebody woke up one day and said, all right, let's try to bully these guys. And then you'll see the adjustment back. But are they going to be valued monetarily? I still don't see it.
Depends on who it is, too. Like, who's going to be available. Like, you had generational running backs this offseason. You had an NFL rushing champion in Josh Jacobs, who was a free agent. Green Bay couldn't wait to get their hands on him. Raiders just let him walk for obvious reasons. Derrick Henry, he's older, but
look at their contracts is what I'm saying compared to, and forget about quarterbacks because quarterbacks are different. Saquon got a big deal for the Eagles and for the running back position. You didn't get a big deal for an edge rusher or a cornerback or even a top tier safety. Xavier McKinney got more money. He's having a great year.
The value that Saquon has at $12 million, it's absurd to think about.
It's a great value for what the NFL values a running back.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is that going to change that part of the equation? I don't think so.
Now, you know what, John? Even when running backs were the Emmitt Smiths and the Sean Alexanders and, just those two eras, they weren't really getting paid that much then either.
No, well, comparatively, if you could, certain guys were at the top of the food chain, minus the quarterbacks. Adrian, who I covered, was at the top of the food chain, but that's it.
But he was 101.
Yeah. And right now, Saquon's at the top of the food chain, running back. Christian, who's obviously hurt again. That's a bad injury too, by the way. PCL.
By the way, 49ers stink.
They stink, and I don't know what Christian McCaffrey that might be one of the reasons that the price doesn't go up, John, because you see.
Well, that's exactly it. It's you lose a guy like that, you're paying him a lot of money, and he's hurt. You're done.
Yeah. So I don't see that part of the dynamic changing. And if you Derrick Henry, because of his age, he didn't get a lot of money. Josh Jacobs, yeah, he got a lot of money for a running back, but again, not a lot of money. But they're all impactful. That's the interesting part. They're still amongst the most impactful players on the field. In the case of Saquon, the most impactful. In the case of the other guys, among the most impactful. The NFL's weird how they value things. Like I said, Xavier McKinney's having a great year, all pro year. I'm not trying to pick on him, but he makes significantly more than all these running backs. You could have an impact on the game as a safety like you can as a running back. It's weird how the NFL values things.
Yeah, I don't understand how, and I guess I'm going with this, like you mentioned McKinney too. I'm trying to think of other highly paid safeties right now, because I think McKinney's the highest, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, there's a lot of high paid safeties. I'll look them up real quick. But what the NFL has done with safeties is they tend to pay proven guys more than younger guys. Like in the draft, they don't give a lot of value.
Yeah,
Antoine,
you don't see a guy like Taloa Hufnega getting paid.
Yeah.
Well,
Antoine,
who stepped in last night? What's his name? I'm blanking on his name. Tristan McCullum. He almost had a big play last night.
CJ was funny about that. But
by the way, John, did you happen to catch the two interesting healthy scratches for the Ravens when the inactives came out yesterday?
Yeah. Well, Marcus Williams.
Yeah, who gets paid a lot of money.
Healthy. Kyle Van Noy wasn't.
No, not Kyle. Keaton Mitchell's healthy, and they decided not to play him.
Yeah, Marcus Williams having a terrible year. I don't know what happened to him. He was a good player.
Might be Zach Orr.
Yeah, but I can't put that on Zach Orr. I mean, he's playing. So it's Antoine Winfield, $21 million. Derwin James, $19 million.
He's a beast, by the way.
Yeah, Micah Fitzpatrick, $18.24 million. Then comes McKinney, 16.75. Jesse Bates is over 16.
That's right. Jesse Bates makes a lot now too.
Marcus Williams makes 14. The Eagles wanted to sign Marcus
Eagles
Williams.
did one 2 years ago.
Yeah.
They lost out.
So there are a lot of safeties, who make big money. And those are all great players, by the way. All the top guys I just mentioned are all Winfield, James, Fitzpatrick, McKinney, Bates, top 5. All great players, every single one of them.
The Cincinnati Bengals should have paid Jesse Bates, by the way.
Well, they should have.
They're not paying anybody other than their quarterback. Jeff, let's go to the defense yesterday, man. They continue to impress. You go up against Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, and one of the best offenses in the NFL, and you come out. I mean, I know it says 19, but shit, it really was more like 12. It is 19. You got to count it.
It was 12 and under 300 total yards. Let's be realistic.
I mean, it was unbelievable, Jeff, what the defense was able to do to them yesterday. They bended at times, but they certainly did not break. What'd you make of the Eagles' defensive performance yesterday?
Against the team, number one offense, they shut them down. I mean, did Lamar miss throws? Yes. Did Lamar try to win the game on one play several times yesterday? Yes. But that's what happens when you contain Derrick Henry, when you're making thunderous hits like Cooper DeJean. And Milton Williams had 9 pressures yesterday. Jalen Carter at 8, Josh Sweat at 7. You're going to win a lot of games when you're getting pressures like that from those 3. And by the way, Mauro Jomo ended up with 3 pressures yesterday. Just an insane game by that pass rush. I know Lamar kind of skews it because he holds the ball longer than pretty much anybody, but you're getting pressure on him and you're kind of forcing him to make decisions. And I know he had some time back there, but I think Lamar was off because of what Vic Fangio carved up for him yesterday.
Oh yeah, and I wonder who's getting hit early. You never know how that impacts a quarterback, and I think he was feeling it a little bit early because the pass rush was really impressive. I was surprised by that. You know, first game without Brandon Graham, we all talked about what are they going to do on the edge. It's basically just 3 guys.
I mean, Jalen Carter said it best to me yesterday. I asked him about Jordan Davis, and he said, look, I hope people recognize what he did yesterday. He deserves it.
They'll never recognize that. But Jordan played very well.
Kobe Dean had a really good game yesterday, too.
The whole defensive front was off the charts good. You mentioned Milton.
On the edge.
Nolan Smith, even though he's a pain in the ass at times in the locker room. He had a great game.
Why is he a pain in the ass in the locker room? What's that mean?
Yeah.
We'll keep that to ourselves.
Yeah.
But Milton Williams had 5 pressures off the edge yesterday. So there's your replacement. Jalen Suggs had a good game yesterday.
Yeah, Alex the Cat had a good game. Everybody had a good game up front. But it starts with Jalen Carter. So we were going back and forth. I said, Jeff, last week, who's the best player on the Philadelphia Eagles? And I think it's A.J. Brown. Everybody else thinks it's Saquon Barkley. I'm sure
they're not in know when A.J. Brown plays.
You know who might be the best player on the Philadelphia Eagles? Jalen Carter.
C.J. Gardner-Johnson went right up to me yesterday and I'm talking to Carter and said, should I say the actual word or should I bleep it out?
You can say it.
He's the best fucking defensive player in the NFL.
Yeah. No, that's teammates, obviously pumping up teammates, but yeah,
but he's not wrong right now.
He's up there. I'll say this. I'll say that. He is having a tremendous year, and he's playing the whole game. He almost played the whole. He missed 1 snap again. He's playing the whole game. That's Vic, man. Vic's like, hey, he can play. He's going to play. And then we get to the MVP talk, and it's probably down to Saquon and Josh Allen.
Yeah. And look, I know what I'm wearing here, but Saquon Barkley solidified his front runnership for MVP.
I don't think he's a front runner, unfortunately. I think that's Josh Allen, but I think he's usurped the 2 Baltimore candidates for the time being. Unfortunately for Saquon, it's the quarterback award. So Josh Allen is going to have to shit the bed to lose it.
Which is a bunch of BS, by the way. I'm so sick of, they touch the ball every play. Yeah, okay, they touch the ball every play. Big deal.
Yeah, but truth be told, I mean, the Bills at 10-2 are he probably is the MVP, Josh Allen. I mean, quarterback touches the ball every play. I mean, I love Saquon Barkley. I'm the one who argued with John last week. He's the best player on the Eagles. But, most valuable player, I think it's probably the quarterback in Buffalo right now.
But what's the signature play right now? I'm sorry. I'll stand corrected on that. It was the play against the Chiefs, the 4th and 3.
I mean, Josh Allen.
You're right. He doesn't have signature. Barkley does have signature moments. The backwards jump, the 300-yard game. He does have moments in there. You're right. That could.
I just think what Saquon Barkley has done in the second half of games this year. He has the highest yards per carry in the second half since Barry Sanders in '97. He's basically rewriting the record books for any running back in the second half right now. And we've been tracking play by play since 1991. It's what he is doing. Like I just mentioned, he has more fourth quarter rushing yards in 2017. He has more rushing yards than 20 NFL teams. He has 1,499 rushing yards. And he was over 1,500 yesterday before the 5-yard loss. Like what this guy is doing is just out of this world right now.
Yeah, I by the way, I liked Nick Sirianni I asked him a question. He went totally off tangent. I asked him a question about the fourth quarter running game. And he took it and he started talking about Jalen Hurts as an MVP. And he mentioned the offensive line. I wish they can get a vote for MVP. I mean, the offensive line is a big part of it as well. When I talk about MVP, I'm just being realistic. It's a quarterback award.
It is, but I'm going to argue it. Like,
but it's not wrong for it to be a quarterback award. This is a quarterback-driven game. It really is.
But there's other players on the field. Like, do you think the quarterback is the MVP of the Detroit Lions? Really?
No, he's not. That's a good point.
All I'm trying to say is the fact that if you're playing running back in this era and you're in the conversation, you're having a great year. So I'm just preparing everybody for their disappointment.
I mean, if I'm going to be realistic here, it's going to be Josh Allen and Saquon Barkley's going to win Offensive Player of the Year.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. And I mean, look, I hear you. Josh Allen's not, but they're 10-2. Why are they 10-2? I mean, they're 10-2 because of Josh Allen. There's no other reason.
They are, and they don't have A.J. Brown on their team. They don't have Saquon Barkley on their team. It is him. Right. So I can understand why people vote for him. I just don't like how every year it's got to be a quarterback award. I don't like that.
Well, I don't like it either, but
it is. Randy Moss had 2,000 receiving yards one season. The reason why Tom Brady threw 50 touchdown passes was because of Randy frickin' Moss, and he couldn't win the MVP.
Yeah, well, there's a perfect example.
That's what bothers me about it. They're like, oh, Tom Brady had this historic season. I'm like, no, Randy Moss had the historic season.
Yeah, the only other instance I can think of where it went the other way, at least in my lifetime, was the Heisman when Devontae Smith won. There was many people who were like, "How's Devontae winning the Heisman when Mac Jones is the one throwing him the ball?"
Because Devontae is a freak.
I know, but Mac Jones had a crazy good year that way. That was an interesting debate at that time too.
It's just frustrating, like when you're watching, like even in college football, like I think Travis Hunter should win the Heisman this year. The guy plays both ways, and he's dominant both ways. But are they going to give it to Shedeur Sanders?
No, I think Travis. I think it should be Ashton Jeanty.
Ashton Jeanty's having a hell of a year. I
think he's the best player at his position in college football. I mean, I don't know. That's an interesting.
I think it should be the quarterback from Oregon.
Dylan Gabriel's really good too.
I mean, they're the best team. I mean, a defensive player's not going
to win the Heisman, but anybody seen what Carter's done the last 4 weeks?
I mean, how many games has Colorado lost, Jeff? Are they at 4?
Or is it 3? Are they 8-3?
I mean, I can't give them anybody on that team the Heisman just because Deion's there and everybody.
Well, that's what's happening.
Freaking games.
That's what's happening.
Meanwhile, Dylan Gabriel. He's
incredible, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, give me a break. How is that even a conversation?
That I can never pronounce his last name. It's DJ Uga.
Yeah.
Cousin or whatever on Oregon. Yeah. That guy's really good too.
Well, I don't know. I thought DJ was really good back in the day. I got that one wrong.
Yeah.
When he showed up to play for
Clemson.
Trevor Lawrence got hurt in season 1 year at Clemson, and he was at Clemson.
When he played against Notre Dame, that game?
I don't remember, but he was unbelievable in that game when he had to play for Trevor Lawrence. And everybody was like, oh, this kid's going to be even better than Trevor Lawrence, and this kid's going to be the number 1 pick, and yada, yada. Now he's on his 18th college, I think, and he stinks. Completely ruined Florida State.
By the way, Dabo Swinney needs to catch up with the times here. Not this. I'm not paying these guys. I'm not doing that. No, you have to do this, or you're not going to be a coach.
He's going to be gone, Jeff. He's not going to. We had him right here on JAKIB. He joined our afternoon show not too long ago, and he hates the new world of college football. And
I'm not a fan of it either. But what are you going to do?
Yeah, you're right. I'm not disagreeing with you. I don't like it, but you're going to have to adapt. And I don't know if Dabo is going to.
Marcus Freeman, by the way, going to be the head coach of the Chicago Bears.
No way, the Notre Dame guy?
Yeah. That's
Is that
my
your pick?
prediction.
Is that your pick?
That's
Yeah.
my pick.
I like that guy, Marcus Freeman.
He's a
done
good coach.
job. Yeah, he's done a really good job.
You
at
know,
Notre Dame.
by the way, I know, again, look what I'm wearing today, but I thought it was so funny. Ohio State paid $22 million, and they still can't beat Michigan. That is hilarious. How
Yeah,
much money they
I knew-
For the
spent.
walk-on quarterback.
I knew
Yeah.
you were gonna love that one.
It's great. How much they paid mediocre Will Howard because they couldn't get Dylan Gabriel. It's just funny how much they paid Quinshon Junkins and all these players, and
And they
you know,
should
you
have
got
Kyle McCord.
yeah. And look,
as
Michigan
Jeff
does
sits
it
over there
too.
in his
but-
Penn State quarter
Nah,
zip.
he's
Oh,
Penn
we
State.
we wonder why you're
You
so
can
excited
imagine
about
how
Ohio
hyped up
State
Jeff
now.
is. He's got Penn State. Saquon's tweeting out, "Oh, what an
Yeah.
exciting win!" Plus, Penn State football is going to get their asses wrecked by Oregon, and the
Don't
Big Ten
matter.
championship.
They're in. It's you got to have a chance to get your asses right. That's what I.
Jeff, let me get
Yeah.
back to the Eagles before we go on a too long of a tangent here. I want to ask you about one thing that may be my only concern left, Jeff, with this team, because I know the passing game isn't great, but when you have a number one defense in Saquon Barkley, I feel okay about it. What's up with the slow starts, Jeff Kerr? It's like this first quarter team. They're like a different football team. I mean, 4 straight punts yesterday. They're lucky the defense became stout and didn't let the Ravens take a 2-score lead or a multiple touchdown lead in that game. What is going on with the slow starts? How do you diagnose it? Is it Kellen Moore? Is it lack of relying on Saquon? Is it Jalen Hurts? Like, what is it that this team is so good for 75% of games and they just can't figure it out in the first quarter? How big of a problem is it to you, and where do you see the issue coming from?
I mean, it's a problem. There's no doubt about it. You can't be doing this again. And I know I said it.
I say it all the
on-
time, but they can
Yeah,
evidently.
I said it on the CBS Philly pregame show on Sunday. It was you can't do this against a good team like the Baltimore Ravens, and they did it, and they still came back, and they took the lead right away. I can't explain what it is. Like, they're scripted plays. And Cooper DeJean said this yesterday. The scripted plays are just a different animal. That's why it kind of takes them as a defense a little bit to adjust, because then when the scripted plays are gone, it's like, okay, well, we can get in the flow of this. We see the tendencies. We know this. But the Eagles, you would think they'd be good with the scripted plays to Kellen Moore, right? It just seems like when they're not doing the scripted plays, they're better.
Doug Peterson let me in on the hint of scripted plays, and you're usually off script by third down.
That's a pretty good analysis.
Yeah, I just go, well, whatever it is, whether they're scripted or not scripted, they suck in the first quarter, and they're lucky the defense has been so damn good because it's kept every game within reach. And then
they're lucky Justin Tucker missed that extra point, which, by the way, I think that started the bad vibes for the Ravens.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely did. Definitely did. And then taking taking 14-yard sacks to take a 33-yard field goal and turn it into a 47-yard.
You know, Lamar did that twice yesterday.
Yeah.
And Tucker missed 2 field goals. Like, I think that was an underrated part of the game. People didn't acknowledge. I'm glad you did, John. Like, right before those field goals, he took some bad sacks and didn't need to.
Yeah. I mean, there's one thing. Look, if you're going to get sacked, like I said, the Eagles' pass rush was pretty good. You know, it gets sacked at 7 yards. Don't twirl around and turn it into a 14-yard sack. Now, again, it's Lamar Jackson. Sometimes he gets out of that and he makes a big play. So it's a delicate line. But when it doesn't work, it's ugly, man. You can't overcome 14-yard losses. And you got to understand the situation, and you got a struggling kicker, and you're pushing him out of his range, and you know, a 33-yarder, that's an extra point.
Yeah.
Probably bangs that through. Who knows? Maybe he's got.
But he did miss an extra point yesterday.
Yeah, well, maybe he gets some confidence back though, makes it, and then maybe he makes a 53-yarder. Who knows? But
for years, Justin Tucker has bailed that franchise out.
Yeah.
And I think they just take it for granted. And kickers go through this. Justin Tucker went through this once in 2015.
This is a pretty bad stretch though. He's leading the NFL in missed kicks right now.
Yeah, Jake Elliott. I mean, you could argue the two best kickers in the NFL were Jake Elliott and Justin Tucker, or one
going
two,
into the
vice
year.
versa. Yeah, and both are having bad seasons.
I like that dude in Kansas City. He's freaking good. Harrison Butker. He doesn't miss.
He's
that
hurt.
I know he's hurt right now. Yeah, they're on their third.
You know who might be the best kicker in football?
Parker Romo.
Yeah, or Cameron Dicker.
What about that dude in Dallas? Or I guess he had a couple misses now.
Yeah. He's
Brandon Aubrey's still.
He's
incredible.
great though. He's great.
Aubrey's
great.
My buddy,
I forget who was it in the NFL yesterday that went for a win on a 68-yard kick. It came up short. Was it the Patriots?
Didn't know. Who
I
did that?
think it was it.
I think it was the Patriots. They attempted a 68-yard kick in the last second to try and win.
Why not? Like you're down one.
As well, you
might a Hail Mary.
Yeah, I guess at that point, it's
you got to have a kicker who's capable. Certain guys like Aubrey, he can get it there from 68.
By the way, guys, are we at the point where look, the Chiefs are not winning pretty? They're 11-1, but are we at the point where the two best teams in the NFL are Detroit and Philly?
I think so.
I think so too.
I would rate them 1, 2. Yeah.
I mean, if someone told me the Eagles were better than the Lions right now, I wouldn't disagree with them.
I will. I think they are, Jeff. I think they are.
They're playing better than them right now.
Yeah, they're playing better than them right now.
Yeah, and I think the Lions. I mean, look, the Lions did get some injuries that are that Anzalone player. He was playing really good for them.
Alex Anzalone's a good player. They're getting a lot of injuries on their side of the ball.
Who went down last week? Who'd they lose on Thanksgiving for the
Malcolm
season?
Rodriguez.
Malcolm Rodriguez.
Yeah,
they lost another linebacker on top of Anzalone.
I got to go off on a tangent here with that Lions-Bears game because I did that for CBS. What Matt Eberflus did, he should not have been allowed to get back in that locker room. You don't let your rookie. I don't care.
Well, they chased him out of the locker room. Jalen Johnson chased him out, evidently.
Did you hear what? I think it was DJ Moore. What he said, as players, we did enough to win the game.
Well, they did.
Yeah. Like, you don't, I don't care.
Well, they did enough to tie the game, and who knows what happens in overtime.
But you still had the game tied at the very least. Oh, by the way, I argued with a fan the other day on X about, I said the Bears, I said my overreactions piece, my column, that the Bears were at the 13. He's like, no, they were never at the 13. I'm like, they were at the 13-yard line. They're at the 13-yard line before the flag is announced. So you were at the 13-yard line. Whoa, no. I'm like, no, you're at the 13-yard line. That's how it says it in the game book.
By the way, dummy Caleb Williams deserves some credit for that loss.
Well, no, he does. And I that was part of my column. Like Caleb Williams, whatever he was doing at the line. But you're a head coach. That's a
I'm with you. You got to save the dummy from himself.
I don't know what the hell Caleb Williams is doing though, because I could understand that. Okay, they wanted to get on the ball to run a play so they could go anywhere.
Yeah, you want to re-rack the play. I'm fine
and
with
then
that.
And then you take a timeout because if you don't have a timeout, you can't throw the ball to the middle of the field. You got to get out of bounds. So I'm like, okay, I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to pick up some yards, get back in field goal range, and then
it took them 30 seconds to even do that. And
then
by then it was too late.
Stand at the line of scrimmage, flapping, changing plays.
Yeah,
I'm like, dude, hunt the ball.
Do you think he knew how much time there was left?
Well,
I don't know.
The whole point is, as the head coach, you have to see the dummy is making the dumb mistake, and you got to be a foxhole guy, and you got to save him. You got to save him.
Boy, John, you're still using terms from yesterday. Foxhole guy. When I came on here,
I've been using foxhole guy for years.
You stole DeCheco's War and Peace line yesterday. What are you doing?
No, well, first of all, DeCheco steals my foxholes. No, come on, let's be honest.
But no, DeCheco's the one who started War and Peace.
He did. He started War and Peace. We go back and forth. We steal from each other. We're high football IQ guys, Andrew and I. So we steal from each other. But no, I'm the foxhole guy. I'm not a foxhole guy.
Yeah. I'm writing something yesterday, and he goes, "What is this War and Peace here?" That's their highest transcript.
Oh yeah, that thing.
Like,
came
oh
in.
my god.
Yeah, that thing came in. But yeah, I was saving lives last night. Everybody else is not a foxhole guy.
Yeah, you saved lives, and you're the only one who got crab cakes last night.
That's true.
Jeff,
John McMullen had. By the way, Zander, I gotta explain this here. John McMullen was if you had to do a winners and losers from the game last night, John McMullen's one of them. He was patiently waiting, did not weigh in
Is
line.
he in the winner column or the loser
Oh,
column?
he's in the winner column.
Oh,
Okay, good.
I'm a savvy veteran.
This wasn't. I don't even call this a veteran move. I call this a smart move. So everybody's waiting in line for these crab cakes. The Ravens are announcing that the crab cakes aren't ready yet.
They're late.
John McMullen's like, okay, they announced the crab cakes are there. McMullen leaves. He didn't miss anything. He missed 3 plays.
He missed a 3 and out for 3 crab cakes. I'll make that trade 99 times out of 100.
That's a vet. John, that's a vet move. I like that move.
Checo and I just didn't want to get up.
Some triple crab cakes. I like it.
We had Ed Kratz and Al Thompson between us. We just didn't want to get up.
Yeah, that's a vet move by John. Jeff, I got to come to you and ask you about this passing game. I'm feeling better about it because the defense is so good and Saquon Barkley is such a good closer. But you do have to wonder at some point. It's like you got AJ. I know Devontae didn't play yesterday, but any concern from you?
Either late in the game.
Any concern from you on where the passing game is, or is it more just a product of this is what they've needed to do to win games and it's worked, so they haven't had to pass the ball? Where are you on the Eagles passing game right now and how you think it's coming along this season?
I mean, it helps they have leads in the second half of these games so they can do this, but you're right. Like, what's going to happen when they do trail in the fourth quarter? They're going to have to throw it. Look, I think Jalen Hurts has been a top 10 quarterback this year, but I'm concerned about how they kind of limited him. He threw 5 passes in the second half yesterday. I know they didn't run a lot of plays in the third quarter, but he was 2 for 5 in the second half yesterday.
They ran 6 plays in the third quarter.
Yeah. That's
2 3 and outs.
I mean, there are concerns. I mean, there's no doubt about it, but I just keep looking at the raw numbers. And look, I know people hate this when some people say this, but the number one stat I look at quarterbacks is how often do you turn the football over? That's why I shit on Jordan Love as much as I do, because that guy turns the ball over.
I love Jordan Love.
Yeah.
I love him.
Look,
Don't make a play. When he beats Detroit on Thursday night,
he will beat Detroit on Thursday. I'm picking the Packers in that game.
Or he might turn it over 4 times.
Derek Goff turns it over a lot too, but when he doesn't, he's really good.
You know, that's my concern. And we got to go. Make sure you follow Jeff on the X platform at Jeff Kerr CBS. Make sure you read him at CBS. He's all over the place. Phillies as well. You can find Jeff on CBS on the pregame show. All over the place, Jeff Kerr, and we appreciate when he comes in. But my concern is, look, great quarterbacks, you ask to do things. And the Eagles aren't asking Jalen Hurts to do things. So I go back to that Nick Sirianni, War and Peace, Jeff. And that question I asked him, he went on a complete tangent to defend Jalen Hurts.
Nick went out of his way. He didn't have to do that.
What they're not asking him to do anything. That's not a concern at all.
But this is why I look, I wasn't there for Nick. I was talking to Cooper DeJean when all this happened yesterday. But when I read what Nick said and then heard it, this is what bothers me. If I'm Nick Sirianni, you know what I would say? I put up the stat I put up this morning. Best win percentage among active quarterbacks, minimum 50 starts. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen. Finn, end, done. I don't care.
No concern.
He wins a lot of games.
Well, that's true. That's true.
I mean, Jalen says it best that the only stat he cares about is winning. Well, I don't. That's the thing. Like, yeah, am I concerned he throws 19 passes? Yeah, but doesn't turn the football over. When he doesn't turn the football over, they're like,
the football over. You turn the football over when you're asked to do things. Like he was asked to do things against.
Week 1, he was asked to do a lot of things,
and he turned
the ball over.
Yeah.
I think it's
when you're asked to do it, like when you're asked to make plays down the field, like Jordan Love, yeah, occasionally you're going to turn it over, but they're asking him to make plays down the field. Now,
you think they just adjusted everything when they knew Devonta wasn't going to play, which, by the way, they knew he wasn't going to play for things. And same thing, like when Dallas Goedert gets hurt, it's like, okay, we're kind of limited here. Like, we have Jahan Dotson, we have Britton Covey, who, by the way, was hurt. He's fine, right, John? You talked to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
now Britain's not the best doctor. Remember when he broke his hand, he thought he was out for the season.
Dr. Britton Covey.
Yeah.
But yeah, Paris
he said
Campbell.
it was fine.
It's like, look, you have AJ Brown, who the Ravens are really focusing on. They're like, okay, well, got Saquon. It's tough, right? But
I don't know. I'm just saying, it's weird to call a quarterback great when he's not asked to do anything.
Sometimes the best medicine, though, is to protect someone from themselves.
All right, that's fine.
Yeah,
Jalen
is not an MVP candidate this year.
No, he's not.
If you can win that way, that's all that matters.
Yeah. Look, I'm not gonna. This is not a slight on Jalen Hurts by any means here. But if I'm ranking players on the Eagles' offense, it's AJ Brown, Saquon Barkley, however way you want to do it. Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, then Jalen Hurts, or Devonta Smith, then Jalen Hurts. Like, is that a bad thing?
You could even probably argue a couple more offensive linemen in there.
Yeah, I mean,
Lando deserves.
Landon Dickerson. I'm slighting him. Dallas Goedert. I'm slighting him.
Yeah.
That dude's an absolute monster. So Mekhi Becton looks like he's been playing guard his whole life. I mean, he's a beast in there, dude. He's a beast.
He was wearing the gorilla after the game. He's got the big ticket chain.
Oh, I love it. The big ticket chain is iconic. I love the big ticket chain.
Yeah, but look, that's not a slight on Jalen Hurts either. Like, look, if you're an Eagles fan, just look at it this way: the guy wins. He wins games.
He does.
Who's doing this?
I feel better about it, Jeff, than most. But I do think it's fair. I mean, what John is saying. I mean, Cilio says the same thing. I think it's fair. They're not asking him to do much right now. He's a game manager.
It's more than fair to have that conversation. But I've had people say, "Put Kenny Pickett in." I'm like, you do know there's a reason why Kenny Pickett got traded. Right?
But I mean, like, I do think there's got to be a course correction when people say, "Well, Jordan Love," like you brought up Jordan. He turns the ball over. Well, shit, they ask him to do a shitload. And he does turn it over too much. I'm with you.
And if you're going to say that, you got to be fair. When they asked Jalen to do a lot this year, the first 4 games, he had 7 turnovers.
Look, he's not better than Mahomes. He's not better than Allen. He's not better than Jackson. He beats them, but he's not a better player than him, but he does beat these guys. So there has to be something in there. Like,
there is. I still say to this day in the Super Bowl, the best player on the field was Jalen Hurts. How do we get back to that?
Can Shane Steichen come back?
No.
Shane with a big 2-point conversion to win. Guts.
We were having a conversation yesterday before that loss. Before that victory, like, if the Colts lost, who gets fired first, Shane or John? Well, John Gann ain't going anywhere.
I don't think
JG should have won that game, man. Come on, JG. You got to win that game. They were up 19-6, I think.
I know we talk about Saquon being the MVP here, but Vic Fangio.
Yeah, Big's the MVP.
There's an assistant coach of the year award.
I believe there is one now.
Give it to Vic Fangio. Jesus.
I think he is going to win.
Like,
he's going to win it.
They went from 31st to 1st in pass defense overnight. They haven't allowed over 225 passing yards since, like, I want to say week 4. It's like their longest streak since the 70s.
I think Lamar beat it, but just barely.
Zach Vaughn. The story of
237.
Okay,
237.
Or maybe it's under 250.
The story of Vaughn alone is enough for him to win Assistant of the Year. I mean, they took an outside edge guy who's been in the league for 4 years, and you're talking about assistant coaches. I've seen him, linebacker coach,
it's an all-pro.
All these dudes, and Vic Fangio's like, "Oh, I'm gonna have him play inside linebacker." Yeah. And not only is he doing it, he's grading out better than Fred Warner, for crying out loud.
Zander, I was so upset when the Eagles gave up that touchdown with 3 seconds left. Do you know there's only been, since Lamar Jackson's been the starter, there has only been twice that Lamar Jackson has been held to 0 points in the second half. A Lamar Jackson offense in these start, and they were both against the Steelers. That's how good Vic Fangio was. Lamar Jackson had to get a BS 40-yard run and a BS touchdown in garbage time.
Yeah, they were playing prevent. I mean, he ran 40
Well,
yards.
yeah,
They
that's
ran
why
prevent,
stats like that don't matter, Jeff.
Yeah.
Because, there's garbage time and there's bullshit.
You
And
know who's
bullshit.
the king of garbage time? And a lot of people on this chat are going to love when I say it. Dak Prescott. The
Yeah,
king
he
of garbage.
he is the ultra king.
He's a big garbage time guy. Kirk
Massive
Cousins is a
garbage
big
time
garbage
guy.
Yeah,
time
he
guy.
is. He is a big garbage time.
Hey, but can we hate on him though? I mean, it gets these guys paid the garbage time, and Dak Prescott's making $60 million
man.
large.
As long as people keep looking at the game book and don't put it in context,
Hey,
yeah.
Who would you rather have? Jalen Hurts, game manager, 44-19, or Dak Prescott can't get out of the freaking second round of the playoffs?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Like, I love when people just that's one thing I'll go to bat for Hurts any day of the week. Jalen can't do this. Jalen can't do that. And they're usually from the same type of people, Cowboys fans. I'm like, well, let me tell you something. When's the last time Jalen Hurts been to a Super Bowl? You don't get there by accident.
Piling on those poor Dallas people.
They deserve everything they can.
Fuck
They
them.
really
got
do.
no remorse.
So do Giants fans. Every Giants fan that told me how overrated Barkley is, I'm like, no, your team sucks. And I'll tell you what. Even the players on your team say they suck.
I did not believe that he was this type of player. I'm the first to admit that.
I could tell you that.
And that, well, yeah, but you're, no offense, but you're a Penn State guy. I mean, you're kind of biased in that.
Yeah, he was always a generational player.
Well, I always said, if you're that good, it'll show up no matter how bad the team is. But I was wrong. The Giants are that bad. I mean,
yeah, they're bad.
They're the worst run organization in football, and there's some bad run organizations in football. There's a lot of bad organizations.
Jeff, we got to run, brother. We are up against it, man. I appreciate you doing it today, and we'll talk to you again next week. All right, brother?
That sounds great. I got a lot of cramming and writing to do. And John and I were in a car way too long yesterday.
I believe it. I believe it. All right, Jeff. Good talking to you, man.
Yeah, see you guys. Thanks.
Good stuff. Make sure you guys follow Jeff at Jeff Kerr CBS. I don't know why his audio comes through so dang clear, and it's every once in a while his video just freezes up, drives me crazy. Let's get to it. We got a couple super chats real quick, John, and then we'll get to our break. Tell Jeff Kerr to get faster internet. It's clean. I know it stinks, Jonathan, but I can't obviously control everybody's internet. Rashid says, I just watched our team be down 2 scores to a top team and Jalen make throws during that stretch when needed. What are we talking about?
Make throws?
Second quarter, I do think he made some throws. I mean, I mean, they put a graphic on the screen, John. That
he had the
first was 9 out of 10 or 9 of 11 or whatever it was.
He had 11 completions. He had 1 complete. In the fourth quarter, the 3rd and 7, which I said was the biggest play of the game. I mean, he was 11 of 19 for 119 yards. Yeah. All right. If you're fine with that, you're fine with that. That's all. That's what he was.
Is John McMullen fine with that?
No. It should be better. Why isn't it better? Is my point.
I'm not.
Now we're nitpicking. I could go down every starting cornerback in the NFL. I would bet. I haven't looked, but I would bet everybody's above 119. I would bet every single other starting quarterback in the NFL yesterday was above 119. I don't know if they were.
Yeah, probably not wrong about that. But I mean, how much of that goes to just the way the team is built? I mean, we're a good football
it does.
team.
I mean, is that sustainable?
Right.
It certainly looks like it's going to be sustainable in the regular season. This was their toughest test and they got by it. So the only thing we're talking about here, and it's admittedly nitpicking. I hope I shouldn't have to make people understand that, but if I have to, they're freaking 10-2. Obviously, it's nitpicking. They're very successful. So if you can do it this way, great. Can you do it this way?
I will. Yeah. I mean, look, for all the criticism anybody wants to give Hurts, and I'll even add Sirianni, the winning started at an unprecedented level when these guys showed up, John. I mean,
well, I agree.
14 wins. Last year they started 10-2. I know
agree.
They collapsed. This year they're now 10-2. I mean, even with Carson Wentz, we were 9-8 multiple years. You know,
I
at the end, I
agree.
know
He
had the
is a
13-win season with the Super Bowl,
I've
but
said it multiple times. Again, people hear what they want to hear. I've said it multiple times. He's a winner. I call him relentless, even when he
oh yeah,
plays
I'm not saying
poorly.
that at you. I'm just saying in
He
general.
he he makes he makes plays to get you over the top. He's unquestionably a winner. But for all the people that dismiss it, like that's not typical NFL quarterback play to play 60 minutes of football against a team that, all we talked about is how bad that Ravens pass defense was coming in. And he threw for 119 yards. Now, who's moving the goalposts now? You got to get the passing game going. You got to get the passing game going. You got to get the passing game. Now it's whittled down to, in the small moments where they threw the ball in the second quarter and fourth quarter, it looked pretty good. It's 11 of 19 for 119 yards. There's a reason Nick Sirianni went off script to specifically get out a message about the quarterback because he saw that freaking game book. They get it before we do.
Yeah. Brian Pumper checks in. Avante Maddox had 2 snaps, but they were the two of the most catastrophic snaps I've ever witnessed. This guy used to be underrated. Now he's ass. He is not very good anymore,
He's
John.
not having a good season. I think cut on the 2 most catastrophic snaps. But yeah,
Brian
it wasn't good.
Pumperism right there, John. That's Pumper. That's what he does.
Right. Yeah. He's not good. He did get Sidney Brown was in there when they don't play much dime, number one. And that's the only time Avante plays now. So
yeah, they live in mostly quarters coverage.
Yeah, well, that's their default setting. But
Yeah.
dime is just personnel grouping. So
Right.
that means 6 defensive backs on the field. So they rarely have 6 defensive backs on the field. And that's the only time he plays now. And then at one point, I think I saw Sidney out there, but there's no snaps on him. But they barely play dime to begin with, and maybe they're going to play dime less now. Because he's not playing well, at least until they get somebody up to speed.
Trash.
He's not playing well. Shame he was underrated. And the NFL moves fast. Just because you were good doesn't mean you're going to be good in perpetuity. I talk about it all the time.
The team that was in the Super Bowl last year just got blown out on Sunday Night Football, and they're 5-7 now, I think.
Yeah.
The Niners. Suo Blaze says, "Yo, fellas, I was at the game, had a blast. Thank you for the super chat, brother. Hope you enjoyed the game. Did you look around and see the great John McMullen up in the press box?" Suo Blaze. Did you see Johnny Mac?
Yeah, a little bit of flurries too. Got even a little bit of snow.
Well, it's damn cold here in right outside of Philadelphia this morning. I'll tell you that much. It's like 20 degrees out. Prince checks in. Josh Allen. Oh, Prince. Prince, you're better than this, Prince. Please, Prince. He says Josh Allen was 11 of 13 for 148. Dude, there was like a foot of snow on the ground.
And he still beat him. That's my point, dude. You're making my point, so thank you.
Prince, you're better than that, Prince. I know you, Prince. You're better than that.
Thanks for making my point. There were a lot of bad games. Justin Herbert was at like 147, but he's above 119.
Yeah, I try not to get too caught up in the stats because they're they don't tell the full story. But
they don't.
That's a low number for sure.
Yeah, that is.
He says, "Does Cooper the Kingslayer get an interception before Q?" He might, man. Cooper DeJean is amazing, John. He just
really
makes
is
plays everywhere.
So was
dude.
Quinyon, but
Quinyon is too. But Cooper's a different type of player. Cooper's like elite athleticism. I mean, all over the field. Great tackler. Just he does a lot of things he's a really fun player to watch.
Yeah, Quinyon had a shot at another interception. He didn't come down with it. I saw Alec Halaby, saying he's going to get one.
Yeah, we know why.
That's the only thing with Quinyon, but he's playing great. Cooper, Cooper DeJean. There's so many good stories on that defense, and Cooper's another one of them. That's the only thing I criticize Vic for. It took too long to get to Cooper DeJean because of bullshit missing 20 days in training camp.
Yeah.
Who cares? He's been. You could argue he's been the best slot cornerback in football as a rookie. And that's a difficult position to play because of the run fits. And you see how physical he is. But you go back to the Cincinnati game. Like people talk about the hit. Who cares? Derek was all balanced. A great hit, blah, blah, blah.
It wasn't technical, though. You wrapped him up low.
Well, no, it was great. I'm not.
Yeah.
It was a good play. But I'm saying go back to the Cincinnati game, the Jamar Chase, the 4th and 1.
That was
go back to the other 4th and 1 the next week. Those are the plays. Those are the really impressive plays. Not making a nice tackle on the open field. I mean, all right.
Which I'll take, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Sue Blaze says, that was the most slants I've seen AJ run, and I loved every bit of it. Well, evidently it wasn't enough. He only had 6 catches for like 60 yards. But
RPO, man. That's another thing. It was very successful. Very successful.
Yeah.
And that drive. Boy, they're dumbing it down, man. Where's this Kellen Moore? Where's everybody can play? Winning cures everything.
It does, John. I mean, look, you say
my God, all these people talked about in the offseason was, it's got to be more inventive. It's got to be more creative. And
I was one of them. I'm thinking pro-style offense is coming.
And they're out there running bullshit college, nothing RPOs, and everybody's losing their mind. Yeah, because it works. It works. And by the way, I give Kellen more credit because he could have come in here and ran what he ran in Dallas, and everybody wants all that and look like shit, or he could take advantage of what he has. And he's taking advantage of what he has. And that's good coaching.
Yeah. No doubt. Let's get to a commercial break. We should have Chris Franklin. If we don't get Chris Franklin, we'll maybe push him to tomorrow or whenever he gets up. It is tough to get up on Birds 365 for some of these guys. So I'm not going to hold Chris' feet to the fire. If he joins in, we'll get him up. If not, we'll talk to him tomorrow. I appreciate everybody being here, by the way, on the show today. Got a great crowd, as always. How many likes can we get today for the 8 straight wins for the Birds? They're now 10-2, everybody. Can you ever believe that? We started 2-2. In a way,
they were always 10-2. This is the third straight year. The spoiled.
It's clockwork, John. They're 10-2.
My Lord. Well, I think they're 11-1 in 2020. The
first time they started 10-2, John, they went to the Super Bowl. The second time they started 10-2, they fell off the face of the planet. Let's see what happens this time.
Yeah. But this team's been pretty impressive by this stage of the year. I mean, you think about it. I think they were 11-1 in 2022. I'd have to look, but then they were 10.
That year they went. Did they go 14-3? No. That was 2022 was the Super Bowl year.
Yeah.
Well, they ended 14-3, so I don't know what they were.
Yeah, but they lost some games when Jalen got hurt. Remember, they had to play.
Yeah, Gardner. Right. Sorry, Gardner played 2 games.
They were 14-1 with Jalen Hurts. But I believe they started 11-1, and then they started last year 10-2. That's that they were 10-1, and then I believe that started everything. The second loss, and now they're 10-2 again. So through 12 games each year, 11-1, 10-2, 10-2.
Good start. Chuck says Zander will get more likes if he gives away a Saquon jersey. That's all these people. I think that's all the only reason they like me now, John, is because I'm giving away
Saquon. Well, yeah. You set yourself up. People like free shit. Vic talks about it all the time.
8 yards short, Chuck. Unfortunately, no giveaway this week, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't like the show. Come on, Chuck. All right, hit that like button.
People like free shit.
People do. That's all right. I like free shit too. People, a lot of our viewers deserve the free shit, the support they give us, and we appreciate it. Let's get to one more break here, and then we'll talk to hopefully Chris Franklin. If not, I got a couple more super chats and topics to run by John after the 8th straight win for the Birds. Before I get to our break, let me tell you guys about the great people at BetUS. You can see the promo code I put on your screen. It's YouTube150. It gives you a 150% sign-up bonus on your very first deposit, and you get 125% on your second and third deposit, all up to $2,000. So deposit less and bet with more at BetUS. Go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. We'll be back in 3 minutes, everybody, on Birds 365.
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
We noticed that there was mold creeping into our basement about a year and a half ago, and wanted to make sure that we were getting rid of the problem permanently. We actually reached out to several different contractors to get it resolved, and actually 2 of them recommended DryTech to us as a long-term solution. Other than the noise factor, we wouldn't even know that there was work being done on the basement level. It's really been a clean process for us.
Score and save this football season on your car insurance. Before the next game, save up to 40% on your auto insurance policy. That's right, 40% savings. Call an Audible this season and contact the Del Val Insurance Group. They're an advocate for you, not an insurance company. That means they'll get you the right coverage and save you up to 40%. Call managing partners Fran or Jim of Del Val Insurance, 215-354-0122, or score and save at dvigi.com. dvigi.com.
EAGLES, Eagles.
We're back in, everybody. The Birds 365, a Monday edition of the show after an 8th straight Eagles win. Some lawn work going outside. I'm not sure, John. Can you hear that, or is that just
No,
me?
I can't hear it.
All
I
right.
got some bright stuff going on with my lighting.
It's all right,
We'll
some
see.
tech issues here in the morning. It's 20 degrees out and the lawn's being cut. I'm like, what the hell is going on back there? I hope everybody is not bothered by it because it's very loud in the studio. John, 8 straight wins. You said something last night on the postgame show on your way out and your final thoughts. Could this team run the table? I mean, I realistically think they could run the table.
I don't
and
see
end up
why not.
15-2 this year. I don't either. They got the Panthers this week. Then they got the Steelers. They got the Commanders one more time, Cowboys and Giants. I mean, it's not.
No, they're
anybody
clearly going to be favorite in every game. Now, again, if they don't have to play week 18, who knows? They're a bunch of guys. But if they have to win every game, and odds are they will because of Detroit, and maybe that changes on Thursday night if Green Bay can get it done. But look, Carolina's brutal. We know that. Pittsburgh's a good team. So, and at Washington, that's a difficult 2 weeks. The Commanders finally got back on track. That game's down in D.C. So those games are a little bit raw because they're NFL team, we always talk about everybody's got good players, and if you don't bring your A game, you can lose. And then Dallas and the Giants to close, who are just abysmal. There's no reason. You got 3 really bad football teams amongst the final 5, and one that's a legitimate playoff team in Pittsburgh, and one that's sort of learning along the way, but it's on the road at Washington. I mean, there's no reason they shouldn't win all 5 of those games if they're playing to win all 5 of those games. And then you're talking about the best record in franchise history in the regular season. There's no reason. Now, Nick would kill me for doing this. Don't look ahead, yada, yada. But like I said, I don't have to. He's not my boss. I can look ahead. There's no reason they shouldn't win out.
The only game that really could be a tough one would be that Pittsburgh game, because they're a physical team, but I don't see I don't know. I mean, I think Pittsburgh's good. I don't think they're
I don't think
better
they're
than
great.
Philly.
No. I don't even blink.
Well, I will say Russell Wilson, I think he had like 400 plus yards just then, 4 touchdowns.
He did, but that's again, 400 yards from Russell Wilson. Better than 119, I think.
That would be correct.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not that type of quarterback, but capable of it at times. I always looked at Pittsburgh as kind of just a good team, but not a serious contender. And I still do. And then, probably on paper, the most difficult game is at Washington because A, it's on the road. B, it's a division team that you've already played once, and those games tend to be more difficult the second time around. So, but again, they're a much better team from a talent perspective. So, a lot of those rules you talk about, division games and blah, 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 they go out the window when you have really good teams. And this Eagles team is really good. So they're just, they're just beating people. And that was the logical loss on the schedule yesterday. And they won it. So, I mean, it's looking good down the stretch.
It's looking really good down the stretch for this football team. John, we talked about basically everything I wanted to talk about. The D-line, I thought, we talked about Jalen Carter with Jeff Kerr. Saquon obviously had another 100-yard day, the first running back this year to run for 100 yards on the Ravens. Zach Bond and Cooper DeJean obviously were great. Jalen Hurts limited, but I guess you could say he was efficient in what he needed to do in that second quarter mostly. I think he had 4 throwaways, so I don't know how much you factor that into this, to the overall statistics. Nick and Kellen, I thought both of them did good. I don't know. I just don't understand what's happening in the beginning of games, but I think they'll figure that out. Overall, this team is riding high right now, John. The first game of December, Tom Brady used to say, football starts after Thanksgiving. Well, it's after Thanksgiving, and we're 1-0 after Thanksgiving, and you beat one of the better teams in the AFC in doing it. The Birds are sitting pretty right now, John. Maybe they could win out here and get the 1 seed. That would be huge.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the team going to the Super Bowl is going to be that, 1 seed, because I think if it goes through Detroit's going to probably be in the Super Bowl. If it goes through Philadelphia's probably going to be in the Super Bowl. I think it really comes down to that.
I agree.
So it's important. They got to keep winning. They can't have hiccups. I can't even imagine Carolina being in a game with this team, even though they're playing a little bit better. And Bryce Young is doing a little bit more in his second opportunity. They took Tampa to overtime, but I mean, come on, that's as close to a gimme as you're going to get in the NFL, especially at Lincoln Financial Field. It's not on the road. Pittsburgh hasn't won here since 1960 something. Northwest Stadium. It's not FedEx Stadium. They're trying to fool people. So that's probably the most difficult hurdle. And then the Cowboys and Giants are dead in the water. Dead in the water. to close the season, both at home. So 4 out of 5 to end the season are at Lincoln Financial Field because of all those road trips early. Now 4 out of 5 against pretty poor opponents with the exception of Pittsburgh. And the only road trip you got to go on a bus, no flights, no nothing. Everything is set up for your beloved Philadelphia Eagles.
Everything is in front of us. Good stuff there, John. Let's get to a couple super chats here from the great people. Suplex City checks in. Thank you, Suplex. My cousin, not to be confused. Suplex is my cousin. Johnny Mack, is the lack of turnovers for the defense concerning? That seems to be the biggest difference from 2022.
They've been turning it over a little bit more as a whole, but
they certainly had a couple chances yesterday. They just didn't jump on the football.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking about Alec. Quignon's been in position to get it, hasn't finished. I mean, CJ said catch the effing ball to Tristan McCullum. I mean, that's an easy interception. He's probably stunned that Lamar threw it to him. So I don't know. That stuff kind of comes in waves. But, it'd be nice to get a few more. But really, they haven't won. I'd rather have the good, solid, sound defense. Because turnovers there's some randomness to it. There is, CJ's a playmaker. He hasn't had a ton of turnovers. So some of it is randomness. I'd rather be just solid on defense, and they're solid, than a team that spikes and maybe has, because that stuff you can't count on. But if you play consistently and they play consistent defense, you can count on that. So I'd rather have that, to be honest.
Yeah, sometimes it's just putting yourself in the position and the ball will bounce your way eventually.
Yeah, and you got to earn the right, as Slay says, to create turnovers. So
no doubt. AJ Jones checks in. AJ, good to see you, brother. Thank you for being here and thank you for the support. He says, good morning, Zander and J-Mac. Jumping ahead, KC is falling off, looking like us last year. So who do you think will play in the Super Bowl? Holy crap, AJ. You got us in the Super Bowl? It's December 2nd, my guy. Buffalo, Ravens, or Steelers? Well, I'll ask you, who do you think comes out of the AFC, John?
I don't like the AFC.
I don't either. All of a sudden.
I guess Buffalo's I think Baltimore's the most talented team if they could ever figure it out, but it doesn't look like they're going to figure it out.
I don't think so either.
Buffalo is playing the best, but boy, I look at their team and say, now they got Milano back, so that's big. Josh Allen's having a great year, but boy, they put so much on his shoulders, and he's been reckless in the past. All it takes is one bad game to get you knocked out. You can say Kansas City's like us last year, the Philadelphia Eagles. They're not. They're winning games. They keep winning until they lose. I can't say they're like the Eagles from last year. So, yeah, as boring as it is until they freaking lose.
Yeah,
I'm with you. They haven't been impressive, but they still got Patrick Mahomes making very similar to the Eagles where they went. They can play shit, and then he makes a play in the fourth quarter and kills you. So right now, I'm still Team Kansas City. Why wouldn't you be? And now they're getting Pacheco back, and they got him back. So
our new Chiefs troll loves to hear that, John. He says another easy Super Bowl win, 3-peat.
Well, yeah, I don't agree with that. They're like the Eagles last year. They haven't lost. When they start losing, maybe I'll entertain that.
Yeah, I don't like that comparison either. The Chiefs of 2024 are the Eagles of 23. Why? Yeah. What have they ever done to even look like the Eagles? Why? Because they're not winning every game decidedly. It's a stupid take. Brian Garner says, can you ask Vic why Maddox was up before DeJean on the first series and how many concussions has Reed had? They seem to be piling up, but I may be wrong.
Yeah, he's had, I think that's his third. Yeah, it's a little bit of a concern with Reed.
That was a weird play. I don't know what it looked like in person.
Maddox wasn't up before DeJean. What?
Early in the game, though.
Maddox only plays one dime, so they were both on the field. He's the extra. He's the sixth defensive back. he doesn't play above Cooper. Unless Cooper got banged up for a play, and I didn't see that. He's only on the field when they have 6 defensive backs. So he's in addition to Cooper. He's not taking Cooper off the field.
Cooper played a lot of snaps. I don't know what the total was, but I didn't think that
he
was
was in the 50s, 56, I think. But certainly early in the game, no. I mean, he was out. The exact play was out there. They were in dime. There were 6 defensive backs on the field. That's why Maddox was out there.
Maddox is not looking good this year, Johnny Mac. Let's keep rolling. I think I have a couple more super chats that I get. All of them. I got a couple more here. Brian says, I preferred we scored in the first and third quarter. I won't say who was to blame, but I read that he was the main character in this game. Guess he's talking about Jalen Hurts.
I don't know, but yeah, they were bad in the first and the third quarter. It's interesting. I
The
mean,
third, I don't think. I mean, the
they had
third
6
was,
plays. 6
yeah,
plays.
what they have 2 3 and outs.
Yeah, 2 3 and outs, and that first quarter was, the first 4 possessions, punt, 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 I believe. Yeah, it's weird. They played 2 quarters and they beat the Baltimore Ravens. So you get, in some ways, that's really impressive because they did nothing in the first quarter and the third quarter.
Good stuff there. Last super chat. Mesmerized checks in. Book your flight and hotel to New Orleans, Johnny Mac. A lot of these fans, John, they got us in the Super Bowl right now. I'm feeling like we got a good chance to go this year. I will say that. I mean,
Well, I think there's 2 legitimate contenders, and maybe it turns into 3 with Green Bay. As I said, still, I think a chance. Minnesota, not so much, but I guess you got to at least entertain it. I mean, they are 10-2, but I don't know. Something missing with that team from my perspective, even though I like the quarterback. I really do. He's had 900-yard, 100 passer rating games. Like, nobody talks about that guy. And he's winning games. They're down 19-6, and he's taking them back and winning games in big spots. I mean,
so you're flipping a little bit on the Vikings because early in the year, I had the same thought process of they're winning a lot, but I don't think they're legitimate contenders. You think they could?
Well, I don't put him above the top 3, but he's playing so well, and maybe it blows up. He had a little bit of a hiccup, and everybody said, "Here's Sam Darnold," but then he just got back to it.
Yeah.
And he might be the most consistent quarterback in the NFC. But people think because he flamed out. Remember, he was the number 3 overall pick. It's not like he doesn't have talent.
Yeah, he's got talent. He can throw the ball for sure.
But, because he flamed out with the Jets, everybody flames out with the Jets. And, even Carolina, they say, well, now he's not good. Well, he is good. Objectively, if you watch the games, he's really freaking good. Now, maybe it took being with the right coach, and that's why Daniel Jones went there. Everybody loves Kevin O'Connell. He's a quarterback whisperer, blah, blah, blah. Played quarterback, all that bullshit. Maybe it is that. Maybe it's Kyle Shanahan. He learned a year under Kyle Shanahan. But, man, he's playing well. So, if you have a quarterback and you're in the game and you have a quarterback playing at that level, I guess you got to say they have a chance, but I would put them as 4th on the list. But the only reason I say they might be, because if you think about it, I don't trust anybody in the AFC, with the exception of Kansas City because of their reputation.
Right.
So to me, and the Vikings are ahead of the Packers, and they're even with the Eagles. They're 10-2. I mean, at some point.
Who's the more impressive 10-2? Is it the Eagles or the Vikings? Might be the Vikings with Darnold.
Well, what do you want?
The Eagles have some good wins now. I mean, the defense has proven they're legit beyond any question. When you stop Stafford, you stop Burrow, you stopped Jaden Daniels, who everybody was, stroking immensely early in the year, way too much. And now you knock off Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. I mean, the Eagles have some good wins too, but it's close.
Yeah, I think the Eagles are a better team. There's another one. I think Minnesota's first or second run defense. But they're an interesting team because of Flores as well, defensively, and all the wacky stuff they do. So I just put them sort of the out. I put Detroit and Philadelphia to me are the clear 1-2 or 2-1, whichever you prefer. And then Green Bay and Minnesota. And that's part of why the Eagles are in good shape, because Detroit still has to play Green Bay and Minnesota again. So all it takes is one slip up, and all of a sudden teams got to go through Lincoln Financial Field. And then I'm picking the Eagles against anybody.
Yeah, that's all I'm focused on at this point. If you get that 1 seed, the entire playoffs looks and way different. I mean, it looks way different.
Yeah, and Chris did oversleep. He just texted me, so we're gonna re-rack him like Matt Eberflus for 9:20 tomorrow.
God.
We're gonna re-rack it.
John, I think Chris Franklin is better than a reference to Matt Eberflus, right?
I like re-rack. I like that's
re-rack.
the only thing I like.
Out Eberflus talking about Franklin, I think Franklin would be insulted.
Well, hey, everybody's got something to add, even Matt Eberflus, and he added to my football lexicon with re-rack. I like that. I like that term.
There
I'm
you go,
going to be
Johnny.
using that term.
Johnny Mac finds something good from Matt Eberflus. All right, Johnny Mac, just 10 minutes left on the show today. A couple more super chats, and we'll get your final thoughts on the Birds' 8th straight victory. Brian said, Romo said DeJean was held out because the Ravens played a lot of jumbo. We have to find some way to get him in jumbo looks.
I
didn't even hear Romo say that.
I'm not watching the telecast, but
Romo sucks, by the way. I know you don't care, but shit, that guy's awful.
Really? I love
He
Romo.
used to be amazing. I loved him when he first started.
I do. I used to talk about with Joe. I think they told him to tone it down because he was telling people plays before they happened.
Yeah, I think you're right. And now he doesn't know what to say, so he just talks in soliloquies all day, and the refs are trying to speak. He doesn't pick and choose his moments at all.
He was phenomenal early, his first year, and he was
amazing. I remember saying that, boy, I hate Tony Romo, but he is damn good on the air, that's for sure.
And he was telling people, and everybody was like, well, how does he know that? It's really pretty simple for quarterbacks. And he was a smart quarterback, you know. By the way, Lane was talking about Roquan Smith was calling out the Eagles' plays. He said he hasn't seen it since Luke Kuechly. So I appreciated that because I always talk about Luke. Luke just calls out people's plays when he was playing. And he said he's never seen anybody do it to the extent of Roquan Smith. So the Ravens were really on the Eagles' shit, and the Eagles still won. That's a positive. Anyway, what was the question? I lost my train of thought.
He just mentioned that Romo said DeJean was.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I have to rewatch. I haven't rewatched it because I got home at freaking 3 a.m. But I got to rewatch the game. I played a lot, so I don't know. I mean, the Raven. Yeah, I mean, he's a better run fit player than Avonte Maddox. So I don't know why Vic would do that, but. Yeah, I'll ask him if I'm going to rewatch the game today, and if I see something that
I don't think we need Avonte Maddox on the field. Maybe tell Vic Fangio that
every time he was on the field for 2 plays.
Yeah, and what happened in those 2 fucking plays, John?
Well, that's fine, but I mean, people are like, he was on the field for 2 freaking plays. Sometimes
both of the plays were not good.
Everybody can't be Zach Bond.
This dude is a liability, though. Holy shit!
But I mean, the way people talk about it, it's like that's the NFL, man. Sometimes you get caught. Sometimes you play players that you don't want to play. You know, Tristan McCullum held up. The Eagles didn't want. Let's be honest, they didn't want to play Tristan McCullum, but they did. They had to.
Big 4th down swat from Tristan McCullum. I thought he was going to pick it. Good stuff.
Shut up.
Yeah. Saquads checks in. Appreciate the support, Saquads. He says Hurts lost the element of surprise after the 22 season. I don't think we will see a prolific passing offense. The defense covers his weaknesses, and Barkley highlights his current strengths. Howie. I do think Howie kind of built the team that way.
Well, that bullshit. Come on. No, but they didn't build a team this way. They built the team like they played in week 1. That's what they were expecting. The revisionist history, no. Come on, let's be honest.
Well, I mean, they're relying on obviously they felt the need to add a star running back because they thought it was worth it.
Well, and how we called him another weapon is what he called it. They did not build this team the way they're playing right now. You know who deserves credit for that? Nick Sirianni.
Yeah. That's fine.
Because
I mean, look, I hear you, but John, anytime you have a star running back, a star offensive lineman, a star offensive line throughout, I mean, you're talking
all
about
I'm saying is the only thing I object to that comment is Howie. Okay. Don't rebut. Howie deserves a lot of credit for a lot of shit.
Yes, he does.
Don't give him extra credit. This is not what the Eagles envisioned with this roster by any stretch of the imagination.
And you know that sounds like you know that for damn sure.
Oh, 100%, 150%. They did not expect to scale back to 1975. The fact that it's working is great, but that was not the plan. That part of it is complete and utter bullshit, if anyone believes that. And I don't think most people do. That's pretty obvious. Again, look at the money. Look at the money they pay A.J. Brown. Look at the money they paid Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts, Dallas guy. No, they expected to have a super, super high octane offense.
They probably envisioned similar to the Ravens. And I know they weren't that yesterday, but Lamar Jackson does have like 3,000 plus passing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. 6.97 yards per play. That's what they were expecting.
Right.
And Nick deserves credit, and the coaching staff deserves credit for saying it's not working. Let's do this. Let's rely on the offensive line. Let's rely on Superman in the backfield, and it's working. But that was not the original plan.
I think it's going to work all throughout the rest of the year. We will see, but I do appreciate the perspective there from John. Abe says, is Georgia or Wisconsin linebacker you? I feel like Wisconsin, but.
Why? Because of Zach? I mean, Georgia's got freaking Butkus Award winners out the yin.
Oh, yeah. They got Roquan. They got, Georgia has more than I was thinking. I
mean, they're both great. I mean, yeah, but the Wisconsin linebackers are all like Chanel and with the Chiefs and Van Ginkel with the Vikings, and they're all like
Ball. What is it? Wasn't TJ Edwards a Wisconsin guy?
Yeah. TJ was second in the Butkus Award voting to Roquan that year in college. When Roquan won it, TJ was second. Yeah, they're both great. You don't even talk about the kid on Green Bay. I forget his name. He's from Georgia. Yeah, Georgia's got a lot of Georgia's got the more talented group, but Wisconsin creates linebackers, it seems. Like Van Ginkel's a 5th round pick. He's one of the best defensive players in football. Baldwin was a 3rd round pick. He's turned into an all-pro. I don't know what the hell Chanel was. I'd have to look him up.
Yeah.
And TJ wasn't even drafted. So they do a great job. Iowa with tight ends. Notre Dame with offensive linemen. There's a lot of schools that specialize in certain things. He was a 3rd round. Chanel was a 3rd round pick. But Wisconsin's got a shitload of good linebackers.
Yeah, so it's a toss-up maybe between them. Mark Valor checks in, John. He says, whether intentional or not, the Eagles starting out slow in their initial drives allows the offensive quality control staff to make note of the opposing D's game plan in order to exploit it later in the game. John, you buying that or are you calling bullshit?
I'm calling complete bullshit on that, Mark. Complete bullshit.
Before I read it out loud, I'm like, John's calling
I
BS.
mean, the Eagles have been trying to fix this since the Eagles are desperately trying to fix their slow starts on offense. Yeah, you're stretching things there, man. The quality control guys can figure out the game. Fucking Bick is figuring out that shit, and Kellen Moore's figuring. They don't even listen to the quality control guys during the fucking game.
Mark, I love you.
No
I'm
offense
sorry.
to the quality control guy.
I'm sorry, Mark. I love you. I'm sorry you had to get absolutely throttled by McMullen this morning, but I appreciate it, brother. Dirty Air says the Jalen shit has got to stop. We are just doing what we have to win. If Jalen needs to move the ball through the air, he will, but pounding the rock is working. Why deviate? You don't want to be one-dimensional, Dirty Air. But, John, your response?
If it's working, it's working. Look, you're happy because they're winning games. I get it. They're winning games. That's all that matters. But understand that the next time you complain when they lose a game and the style point, or they win a game and the style points aren't there, then I don't want to hear it. They want the passing game to improve. There's a reason why Nick Sirianni went off on the tangent that he went off on yesterday. And that's because he picked up that fucking game book and he saw it and said, oh shit, here we go.
Yeah. I didn't know that was your question. I was on the post-game show. Did you?
Yeah, it was my question, but I didn't ask that question.
Nick Sirianni's talking in circles like he always freaking does. I can barely listen to the guy, but I was on Twitter just scrolling real quick, and I had a break on the post game, and I'm like, oh God, Nick is touting Jalen as an MVP. We all know what that's about.
Yeah. Look, you guys are fooling yourself if you don't think this team wants to get better in the passing game. That's all. I mean, if you want to fool yourself, feel free.
Many do, John. Philly Don checks in, last one here, and he says, Bond and Coop remind me so much of Doc with the way they play with the passion and toughness in their game. Now, that's high praise right there, Philly Don. I'm not ready to go there.
Everybody got to go to Dawkins.
I know.
I mean, my God.
It's
the guy's in the freaking Hall of Fame. Well, let's wait a while.
He's like one of the best to ever play the game. I mean, in the Hall of Fame, he's one of the best in the Hall of Fame. I don't want to compare.
Yeah,
Zach
I mean everything. Yeah, everything's got to go to Dawkins. Yeah, let's just say Zach's having a very good year and Cooper's a tremendous rookie, and let's leave it at that before we compare him to the Hall of Famers. And one his first year starting, and the other his first year in the NFL. They got a ways to go before they reach the passion and toughness of one of the greatest players in franchise history. But they're doing a nice job.
Chalkins is what they're calling Cooper because he's a white dude. Be Chalk.
They don't even play that position.
No, they don't.
Yeah. I don't know. People love to hype guys.
All right, John. 8 straight. 10-2, you knock off maybe one of the most talented teams in the league in the Ravens. You compared them to the 2000 greatest show on turf with their offensive numbers coming into that thing. Birds shut them down, man. They win their 8 straight.
Down. 9.7 yards per play coming in, which was second in NFL history. The Eagles held them to, I think, 5.3. Henry came in averaging 6 yards per carry. They held him to 4.3, I believe. And Jackson came in with a 117.9 passer rating. They held him to 101.3, I think. That's good. That's good.
That sounds better than good. That sounds great to me. All right, John, good stuff, man. Any other final thoughts here before we let you run on this Monday edition of Birds 365?
No, I think we hit it all. Win. Everything is happy go lucky. Everything is all on track. Thursday night, by the way.
On a scale of 1 to 10, John, on a scale of 1 to 10, what is your level of concern with the Eagles offense?
5.
Okay, so it's come down because the defense has made it come down a little bit. Did I read that right?
Well, I think the running game has made it come down and the defense. So they've proven they can win at a high level using this path. And the regular season doesn't even matter anymore other than getting to potentially the number 1 seed. The only question is, can they deal with those 3 teams in the playoffs? If Detroit's got their A game, if Green Bay's got their A game, if Minnesota's got their A game on a particular game day, and Green Bay's 67 receivers and Jaden Reed. You already got a flash a bit in Brazil. Wicks doesn't keep dropping passes. Nobody's slipping and sliding. Amon-Ra St. Brown catches 13 balls for 150 yards. Justin Jefferson doesn't go off. Can they keep up with that? If that happens, that's the only question about this team right now.
Yeah, Detroit's an interesting matchup because I think Detroit is built in a way where maybe they could get the Eagles off their game. I mean, if the run game's working and they
got Sonic and Knuckles. I love that nickname, by the way. That is one of the great nicknames ever.
Philly
I don't
Don.
even watch Sonic and Knuckles, but I know who they are.
I don't even know what is Sonic and Knuckles. I don't know what that is.
It's a video game, but they made it into a movie.
Sonic, I guess it's called Sonic.
Sonic is the real quick one. That's Gibbs, and Knuckles just punches you in the face all the time.
Okay, all right, that is a good nickname.
Yeah.
I'll have to do some Sonic research today. Philly Don clarifies his comment and says, not saying as good, but just the way they play and their mentality. I know what you're saying with the physicality and they don't shy away from anybody. I hear what you're saying. Just it's hard.
You know who was physical and didn't shy away from anybody? Andrew Sendejo. I don't hear anybody talking about him. That guy was a psychopath, and he got a 15-yard penalty every 3 plays. So
should I know what Sonic is, John? I'm getting ripped in the chat for saying I don't know what Sonic is.
You should know what it is. Even I know. I'm like 100 years old. I know.
I'm telling you.
There's a movie out. There's a movie out right now. Sonic 3, and I think it's the 3rd one.
I was the kid who never asked for TV time when I was growing up. I never wanted TV time.
I've never played the game. I've never seen any of that, but I know Sonic, and probably because of advertising on wrestling, to be honest. I know who they are, Sonic. They're cartoon characters, but it's a great nickname for Gibbs and Montgomery. Phenomenal. And I saw a commercial the other day where Knuckles is trying to beat the crap out of somebody, and Sonic's trying to stop him. And I said, "That's Gibbs and Montgomery."
Pumper, something we can agree on. Pumper says Sonic is ass. Everybody else is ripping me. Devontae says we're questioning my childhood. Devontae, I like to be outside. Maybe you need a little more of that, Devontae.
I just love the nickname. That's all.
It is. It's a good nickname. Evidently. I don't know if it's a good nickname or not because I don't know who the hell you're talking about. But I do know Sonic, the little blue dude who runs around. I get it. I know who it is now that I'm thinking about it. All right, Johnny Mac, great show, my friend. We'll talk to you tomorrow on Birds 365, right, my man?
All right, thanks, everybody. Enjoy Victory Monday.
Victory Monday, everybody. Enjoy. Only 17 of these things and maybe 20 if we're the lucky and we're the Birds and we can go to the Super Bowl this year. So enjoy each and every one. We appreciate all of you guys. Hit that like button on your way out, and we will catch you tomorrow on Birds 365.
You've been listening to Birds 365, the destination for the passionate Eagles football fan who bleeds green. If it's Eagles football, we're talking about it. Debate, inside the locker room, and guests that are some of the greatest football minds from around the region. We hope you enjoyed the show. We know we had a blast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on social media at JAKIB Sports. See you next time on Birds 365.